Yeah, senior day, take that first. Excited to get Emery back up. Chance for her to see everybody. It's uh, it's one of the cool things about senior day is everybody's past a little bit different. You know, you've got Emery from the extreme of Emery to Izzy, and then Ella, the three that we'll recognize, all completely different paths, all completely different careers. But excited to celebrate that with them and their families. OU, obviously been a huge impact into our league. I'm pretty sure they won back-to-back Big 12 titles last 2 years. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm pretty sure that's accurate. Have to fact check me there. Obviously made a big impact. Um, got a couple of kids who are, all conference consideration. And then a kid that was, I think, the Big 12 player of the year last year. On top of that, that's a different player, so very deep. They play really fast. They'll play as fast as anybody we've played all year. Um, so good challenge for us. Hope the weather clears up so we can get everybody up here and send our seniors off in style. Although we got one more home game, good to celebrate the weekend with families.
Ethan?
Hey, Mike, you've had a day in between now to kind of uh, assess the South Carolina game a little bit better. What did you think of the way that your team played?
Pretty good in the second quarter. You look up, it's a 15-point game there, with about 6 minutes to go, and then they just kind of run out on us. We got in a little bit of foul trouble. We got a little bit discouraged, felt like maybe, the game had slipped away from us with a great opportunity. The crowd took over and then kind of got away from us there in the end. But I thought there were some good moments, some encouraging moments. Good to have, Kiki back, give us a scoring punch. It's hard on her to, come back and do that. It really suffers more on the defensive side because you don't have the reps and the rotations and the scouting. I think, with her having a full week of practice this week, good to have her back. Good to have Keats full strength. I think Phoenix played with a lot of confidence against a really good team. So there were some good moments, but certainly see why South Carolina is as good as they are.
And then Oklahoma, I mean, it's you just look up and down their scores. It's no secret they can score the ball pretty well. What's maybe the key to trying to slow them down a little bit?
Well, I mean, they're going to play fast. There's nobody has really slowed them. I think you got to make sure the right people are taking the right shots from the right spots. If you let you let Verhulst get going, you let Reagan Beers bury you deep, you let those kids catch it in the pinch post. You may take those three areas away. If they're going to beat you with mid-range jump shots, then so be it. But you got to take away their layups and their free throws. You start doing that, and then their threes really accumulate. They can all shoot it. There's nobody on their roster that you say, we don't have to guard or you don't have to play at the arc. You have to play them all. So there are, it's a pure motion. So there's not a lot of, set calls that you can go out here and practice and work on. You're trying in a day and a half to simulate what they've worked on, now for a couple of years. And it's impossible for your scout team to do that. As good as our scout team is, it's just impossible to teach them something that those teams have been working on. So I think in this case, Ethan, you have to rely on, your experiences in every game. You have to say, hey, we're literally playing kind of an amalgam of every team we've played. They are going to do a lot of different things. We can't predict it. You got to play basketball. And we should be able to at this point in time. We shouldn't have to do a whole lot of scouting. So but that's the challenge they present. And then, they're veterans. You got kids that have played at a really high level of USA basketball, kids that have played a lot in college, have really built a nice roster that's, NCAA tournament, second weekend, top caliber team.
Of course, with adding Texas and OU to the league this year, we were familiar with Vic, but this is the first time really to face one of Jenny's teams. Is the way that they play kind of how her teams always play, or is this characteristic of just this bunch?
Yeah, no, it goes back to her great days. And even, she played at Iowa and the way that she's just always coached, the people that she's been around. I think if you look at what Jenny's done, she's taken, something from every place she's ever been. And I think that's what the great ones do. And she's certainly in that category. She has then adapted it to fit this team. They didn't have a post player like Reagan Beers until this year. So they've incorporated some things with her out of what they've already done. It just has added another layer. It's fun to watch. It sucks to play against it, but it's fun to watch when it's really clicking and executing. And when they get to making shots, did they just score 101 on Vanderbilt? One of our better defensive teams. So I think our kids are excited. They love it. We like to play. Our kids like to play fast too. It's going to come down to, I think, the team that can find the most quality shots.
That's all I've got for now.
Okay,
Evan?
Yeah, hey coach, how you doing?
good.
Awesome. Curious, you kind of mentioned Kiki a little bit earlier. You got her back for the first time since I think it was January 26th. What was it like having her back and her being able to produce 18 points and lead the team in scoring against South Carolina?
I know it's something we've been desperate to have. Somebody that's confident to kick it out to when Izzy gets triple teamed. And the ball found her in great spots. She was in big time attack mode. She's been near a 44, 45% 3-point shooter all year long and in the high 50s on open ones. So great to have her back out there. Great to have her confidence. Got to get her conditioning back up. It's hard to, be out as much as you are and then be able to play in long streaks. We need her for longer stretches. And then, like I was mentioning, just the practice time, as well as she played offensively, it was minus 34 during the game. So the defense, we got 18, but we gave up on more than that. So great to have her back. It does help us on the offensive end. Got to get that deep. She's been one of our better defenders throughout the year. It's just she didn't have the reps going into it. So hopefully the last 2 days she'll get back in the swing of that and be able to help us on both ends. But in a game that could be decided by offense, great to have her back.
Yeah, and especially too, you kind of mentioned when it comes to the rest of the team, what's kind of the vibe when it comes to getting a player like Kiki back who can take a lot of the pressure offensively off, some of the other players that maybe weren't producing like they wanted to.
Yeah, I think it gets them back in their normal roles. I mean, I think, just in all life, we were all better when we're in the roles that we're best suited for. I mean, if they ask you to go out and lead the opening or the weather, I'm sure you could do it, but you'd be nervous. You've got the knowledge, you just don't always have the experience doing it. So, I think keeping people in their roles is a huge part of team success. And I've said this all along about Jenna. Jenna is right where she's supposed to be as a sophomore. When we brought her in, we didn't count on her having to start at the end of last year and then start all year this year. You don't throw that on anybody. We don't want other freshmen. We've thrown Phoenix literally to the wolves. Without any non-conference, and then hey, oh yeah, by the way, now you got the toughest year in the history of the SEC with some of the best guards. Good luck. So I just think everybody being back in more natural roles that they filled their whole life, that they were recruited to play. I think it makes everybody feel just a little bit more comfortable. And I think we all know we produce a little bit better when we're in our most comfort zone. So I think we're getting back to that. I'm proud that our group's not made excuses about having injuries or about having weird lineups or, being asked to do more maybe sometimes than what we're ready to do. They've accepted that. But, I know Izzy's excited to have kick out options, and maybe now she's only going to get double teamed instead of triple teamed. I know Vera and Danny feel like, they're not going to get as crowded with a shooter on her side when you put somebody out there that, other teams have labeled a shooter. So I think, and specifically for the last set of games that we have, A&M, or starting, Oklahoma, Missouri, A&M, it was vital to get us all back in our natural role so we can kind of get some momentum here toward the end.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
You got it.
I got it.
Okay.
Jada Bates, I mean, she was ready to shoot against South Carolina. Both threes she took. Is she on the cusp of, kind of getting a bigger role?
Yeah, one of those was banked in from the corner. I'm not taking it away, but if you weren't watching the game, she was in the dead corner and hit the top left of the backboard and went in somehow. But no, she's been there all year. I will tell you, and I've told y'all every time if you go back and look, we've been very, very cautious with Jada just to make sure she's in situations she's ready for to not hurt her confidence. This is a kid who we all see the SEC body, the SEC athleticism. There's just a lot to it. And she is on that cusp. She had a really 2 good days in practice, blocking shots and defending all those things. So, at South Carolina for the first time, I thought she did really well. And And she is a kid who's, minutes have fluctuated a little bit based on matchups, but they've all been in an effort to make sure she's the best player she can be for her whole career, not just that night. But yeah, and again, going back to what we've been saying these last 3 games, somebody with what she can do could be very, very important to us to getting some momentum.
And then I'll end on this. Just I know a lot of people will probably ask why doing senior day
Yeah.
not on the last game of the season. It's not the first time for y'all, but I
Yeah.
guess just the way y'all do it.
We all, just if you go back and you look, our Sunday crowds are better. It's easier on those people's families to come in on a weekend and ask people to take off work. And, I think it's more important to have it on a day when their families can be least impacted and more of our fans can get there. Weekends just make more sense. A Thursday night game sometimes. And a lot of times when we're scheduling, we don't know what those game times are. So you get an 8 o'clock game on a Thursday night, it might be us and their families be the only people there. And that's just not fair to our kids that have been here in the way that we do it, or our fans. So we opt to do it on the kind of the last weekend of the home schedule. I think one year we did it even prior to that because there was some conflict with something, maybe with one of our people's families. We do it based around them and what's best for them. And that's why it's going to fall that way.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
All right. Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.